Yeah, just give it a second. It's trying to open. Promise you that. Fixed. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Yup. Yup. Gonna be honest with you, don't remember where the hell I was. Give me Periwinkle, I'm lonely. Lit. This singing reminds me of something. I've heard these dissonant tones in a different game or movie franchise. Lady of Black, maybe? I don't know. Eh. Sure, it's taking its sweet fucking time. Oh, honey, I was. Oh, I see. Oh boy. Let me just pause. Let me give the game a second to catch up with itself. Because it's clear it needs it. So he definitely beat me to death. What the fuck was I doing last time? Oh, right, cake. Oh, really? Shit. Okay.
예, 여기서
Oh, damn it.
뭐하니? 여자 친구?
No, Queen. Why are you so tall?
그럼 난 어때? 나 이뻐?
Sure.
운이 좋네? 오늘 내 얼굴은 안 봐도 돼.
Thanks. Oh. You can't. Okay, don't worry. I'm replaying a bunch of shit. You know what? Fuck it. Let's make the game uber loud today. How about that? Right there at the medium. That was dangerous. He definitely almost saw my ass. Harry, I grow so weary of resisting the goblin. Me too, champ. I grow weary for you. He wants me to buy Gatorade, Harry. Harry! He wants me to buy Gatorade, Harry. He wants me to buy Gatorade and kill the Spider-Man. That's good. I like that. Stop. So I'm still missing 2 big boys. Welcome back. You really aren't missing anything. Because he killed me last time, I have to redo this entire part where I get the cookies. So, don't worry too much. Calypso arrives for real. Quest Cristo. What the fuck is Quest Cristo? Is that French for Christ? Spanish? Jesus Christ in Spanish. Okay. Fucking French. Ah, the French. You have become a rat man. Oh, they knocked over our desk. Look, I'm sorry. Oh, god damn it. Where the fuck was he? Ugh. Luckily he's dumb as shit. I do be hearing him though. No! God damn it. I'm sorry. I mean, I could always send you reference for Marjai if you want to draw him. I mean, unless you're working on other commissions, then I will fuck myself. Respectfully, of course. Respectfully. You gone yet, Dick Teeth? Kinda got shit to do. Good. Take that fat break. What is it that you finished? Thanks. Oh, that's right. Well, congratulations. I think I saw the first 2. Or maybe I saw 2 of them. I don't know about the other ones. I saw the one where she was hugging the bird or something, and then I saw the one with the monkey, I think. Meggy. I'm a monkey man myself. I'm something of a monkey man myself, Harry. Isn't it a monkey? What the fuck? What is it? It's a monkey. Or a panda. Something. I'm not even judging you. I thought that one was a bunny, but no, it's a dog. If it was the green one. No, the brown one. Wait, was it green? Dog, I don't fucking know where I'm at. It was the buggy. It's a brown monkey. No, that was a brown one for sure. I am colorblind. I will not be harassed. Of course I'm colorblind. Have you seen Solani's original color palette? Ugh. Fucking ugh. Could you, like, fuck off? So I can get my last cookie, boy? Where's the last cookie? I heard the music, what the fuck? I saw a post that said, I notice all colorblind men are straight. Please tell me if you have a gay colorblind friend, and I was very tempted to tag you. You should have. Gayest colorblind man you'll ever meet. Where in the country fried fuck is this last bunkus? I mean, gingerbread boy. What is this? Ah, yes, of course. Bitch, go away! Anyway, I'm glad you like the monkey. Yes, I do enjoy the monkey. Monkeys. I'm almost tempted to restart this game and put it on fucking, like, medium or hard. But I guarantee you the guy still sucks. And there's probably still no real ghosts. Where's the last cookie? Where's Daddy's cookie? What you mean? I really like the sound effects for, like, when they walk. For some reason, Asian games get that shit so good. They get that so precise sound-wise. Where is he? Oh, he's fucking coming up here, isn't he? Go the fuck away, mate. Can you see? Is it good? Yeah. Good. Good. Where the hell is this last cookies? Cookies? This guy's walking hella quick. I hear music. It's not the cookie music. It's just creepy string music. Thanks. So how do I use this? How do I equip it? Whatever. Did I already do this? I hear music. I just gotta wait for this dumb bitch to get away from me. Don't come in here. Don't come in here. Daddy doesn't want that. I really like the sound effect of the footsteps. Which way did he go? Yay! Hocus. People are dying when those fucking cookies are put out. See where... He better not be near the ginger. Shut up. Don't make me put my angry eyebrows on. And where's the female police officer, by the way? Why is he the only one that came in? Like, isn't she, like, phoning him at all? Like, fucking, hey, ill bomb, get the fuck out, get outside. I don't know if that's his name, I'm just making shit up. Yes, it is, but like in the beginning, wasn't it a female and a male police officer that were outside? That's why I'm confused. Maybe it's his, like, commanding officer. Yeah, same. I didn't give a shit. I just knew that the models were pissing me off. Oh yeah, Sujin sucks, dude. Alright, cookie time. Key. Keys to the cage. Thanks. They're gonna lock my ass in here. Are you kidding me? What's in there? You can't get me if I'm in here. Big bitch. Why is this taped up? What's going on in there? What kind of secrets are you holding? Could you imagine if this game had voice recognition? And they could hear me talking shit? I wouldn't be able to say anything. That is a really loud door. Better question, why does the drama club have a cage? Well, for jail scenes, you know? Because it's like it's the theater club. It's like they have to have props and sets and whatnot. Or maybe they're just really kinky. I don't know them like that. Hello? Who are you?
강서연?
Who the fuck is Kang So-young? Okay, starting to think the drama club might have been justifiably punished for the incident that the bike club was responsible for different reasons. Yeah, I think so too. They definitely locked that bitch in a cage. Are you kidding me? Well, we have another woman introduced. I think, once again, we're the only men. Like, what are you doing with that shit? No, no, no. They're committing crimes with it, clearly. How did Kang So-young get through here when that guy's just paroling? Go through the door, Dick Teeth. Periwinkle will fuck you up.
You're damn right I will.
Good, thank you, Periwinkle.
The only one allowed to hurt Solani is me.
Thank you, Periwinkle. Real cool of you.
Of course.
Why is it like I'm getting closer? I don't know. We have Sujin, who is a girl with long hair. Then we have Kuchisaka Onna with her trench coat. So girl with long hair and trench coat at 2 is just going to be girl number 2. Sorry, don't make the rule. That's true. Yeah, there's too many girls. Where's my fucking son, Lee He-Man? Oh, that wasn't what you were going for? Pretty intense cutscene for nothing. Oh, fuck off. I meant to type a hashtag, not an @ symbol. That's fair. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's hilarious. No, no, no. What are you doing? What the fuck? What's going on? Why are you playing this music? Ah! What the fuck? Oh, dude. Oh, fuck off. What are you talking about? Ha! I don't like this. God damn it. What the fuck? Stop! I don't like this! Oh, the misery! Every single person is my enemy! What the fuck are you talking about? I don't have the parts? There's so many men! Oh, this is a mistake! This was a mistake, this was a mistake. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Ah, 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 ah. No. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, the sympathy. What do you mean? What the fuck? Okay, so she needs... Oh, God damn it. Okay, oh. She needs this. Give me that arm. I need your arm. Fuck me. Fuck me. This was a mistake. I grabbed all the wrong pieces. Goddamn. And now they're just so angry. Why can't I place it? Honey. I think I might just let them kill me and start this entire, like, scenario over. Just do it. I'm so tired. Please, like, start me at the door. I'm begging. I'm begging, begging you. Okay. Legs. She needs a hand that goes ha, and she needs a straight arm. Okay, so her right arm has to be... Oh, shit, though. Okay. You're not correct. What the fuck are you talking about? I took the arm. Also, my Switch actually charged, by the way, so we can play games again. Do you want to fucking play some, Animal Crossing when I'm done? Dude, am I just fucking stupid? Like, was that not the arm she Oh my god. There's two different variants. I'm gonna fucking... I would like to, yes. Am I stupid? Where the fuck are the head and the arm I picked up? Oh shit, they have to be bloody. Come on, ladies. Ladies. Oh, fuck off. Ladies. Oh! Oh, shit! Oh! Daddy deserved it. Ladies. Yes, and then they just destroy me. Okay, but she has both arms I need, so how do I get both? How do I get all of that off of her? She has, like, most of the shit. Oh, I see. I'm on the right head? The fuck you mean? Oh! No, the fucking neck needs to be bloody. Honey, who has a bloody neck? Honey, who has a bloody neck? Daddy needs a bloody throat. Okay, well, they're all fucking stupid up there, so... They're just kind of broke on each other. Okay, so where's the bloody head one? Like, I'm not crazy. Do you get it? Because I feel like I'm going fucking crazy. Yeah, guys, just... You're doing great. They all just have bloody eyes. Now, I'm not gonna add another bitch to the mix when it's not the right one. Excuse you. Like this music's not even scary anymore. I'm just mad. Oh, there's a mannequin back there. Be quick with it. You have bloody neck? Thank God. Thanks. What a sizzler. Fuck you. Bullshit. They let me have peace for all of 5 minutes. Well, 5 seconds, I should say. But we did it. Why does my shit keep buffering every time I do something? Because it said, don't do anything else, only watch Solani's stream. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Oh, are you in the ads again? I'm so fucking sorry. I'll just wait here then. I'll take a sip of water. And have myself a nice bit of Tony Chocolonely's famous chocolate. Tony! Welcome back. I waited for you. Thank fuck.
서유리 선배?
Who the fuck is she?
아, 넌 정수진이랑 같이 다니던 애?
네. 선배는 학교엔 어쩐 일이세요?
뭐 볼 일이 있어서. 넌 학교에 왜 왔니?
어쩌다 보니 수진이한테 휘말려서요.
아, 정수진. 조심해. 정수진이 성아를 죽였다는 소문.
Her name is Yuri.
난 진짜라고 생각하거든.
So the girl from the first game, they're trying to say was murdered by Suin. I mean, I could see it. I was gonna say they are getting Fatal Frame photo titles at this rate. Oh yeah. Girl with Sweater is her official name now. No, there's more. Based on that outfit selection screen that it showed us, there are so many. There's so many women. I hear piano. You're right, there's just gonna be a whole gaggle of ladies and just this one dude who I can't remember his name because he's not Lee He-Man. That's what I'm saying. I love you until death. I love you, 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 I love you. Why can't you see I love you so? Why do you tell me to stop chasing after you? Why do you say that it creeps you out when I am watching you? I just love you. I love you. Why is it wrong to talk to someone I love? Oh, stalk someone I love. I don't want anything to be in our way. Don't get in my way. If you keep getting in my way, I'm going to stalk you even after I die. Oh, that's right. If I die and become a ghost, you won't be able to get in my way. Aishite, 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 moto moto aishite, aishite, furuashi hodori. Somebody played it as there was blood. Yeah, that one was a little backward. I miss Lee He-Man. I miss the coins. Someone's Diary 1. 1998. Ji-won Kim, the teacher, gave me some pottery. I don't know how they caught on, but the school started asking me about some kind of life jar. They even offered to make me a member of the foundation if I gave them information about where the jar was because they thought that I definitely knew something after talking with Ji-won Kim. What is this life jar that the foundation wants so badly? What does it mean to be a member of the foundation? It seems like there's still a lot that I don't know about this school. I love you is not the same as love me. No, they're the same. You're funny. So this school is just evil. Is what's up. Is what I'm learning. Like, aside from the murders and the ghost, there's something afoot here. Something is afoot, but, like, do I care? Yeah, I don't really give a shit. The TV in the science lab is strange. Sometimes when it's on, there's static and it keeps turning itself on and off. Whenever that happens, I get chills and this creepy feeling. I get scared and quickly turn off the screen, but you think something is there? Like a ghost? Okay, can I level with you real quick? Can I just talk to you real quick about something? about my current thoughts on this game. So my current thoughts on White Day 2 Swan Song is it does not feel like there is a story here. It just feels like, hey, do you remember the map from the first game we made that already had the cues for where the monsters and the ghosts and shit were gonna be? Yeah, what if we just took that and made a second game, and then you just walked through all of our already pre-made assets like it was a haunted house, so that we don't actually have to do any work. Let's put all the notes around the game as well, so that people remember that they exist and go hunt them down to pad out our experience, so that you don't refund our game. My John Wolf is coming out. Like, why do they gotta jump straight to "it's a ghost"? Same. Like, dude, call a guy, get the wiring checked. It feels like they're trying too hard to have a story, and there's too much and not enough at the same time. Yeah, it's just like they had everything from the first game, and they just were like, here, explore it again. Show your loyalty. Cut off a part of your body and make a ritual tool. Sick! Fuck yeah. Mutilation? In the science lab? Say lace. Like, dude, this place burned down. Just let it rest. Oh, yeah. And for a place that burned down, it's pretty fucking well intact. I remember you. Give me your plastic button eye. I'm sincerely trying to carry out my duty as a teacher, but it's just not as easy as I thought. Students these days lack guts. I'm always trying to give them sound advice, but most of them ignore me. It's exhausting. Sometimes I dream of quitting school and traveling the world. I'm going to visit Moscow, London, Tokyo, and New York in that order. Yes, I should set my combination lock password to Moscow, London, Tokyo, and New York. Just like my dream. Moscow, London, Tokyo, New York. There's a passcode? Fuck, where? Moscow, London, Tokyo, New York. Oh. Hmm? The fuck are you talking about? They could have done a cool thing, like making a prequel instead and having the characters be the first game's parents of the generation that was before them, or go even further back and do like, what was there before the school? Because they mentioned that the school was like built on a haunted grounds or some shit like that. Yeah. And now there's all this talk in these notes I'm finding about the Foundation. Like, dude, just give me a fucking prequel. Or let me play Sung Ah, like, before she got murdered or some shit. Like, anything would have been cool. Oh. Nope. 9, 6, 6, 3. 9, 6, 6, 3. Well, what the fuck? I'd do something with that then. Oh, it burned down now. It's White Day 2, Electric Boogaloo. Go find out what happened to Sung Ah, even though you already did that in the first game. Yeah, she was just an evil spirit. Yeah, I would have fucking loved to play as Sung Ah. 9663. Where the fuck would that go? Hmm. Does anyone know where the remote control for the science lab's TV is? When the teacher asks, some students When the teacher asks some students to move the first aid kit, I think they move the box with the remote control inside too. I can't seem to find it, so let me know if someone else does. Also, does anyone know what to do with the spare machine parts in the spare room? I don't fucking know. Or what the hell, even playing as one of the characters who becomes one of the staple ghosts that haunts the location, like you think it's a prequel and shit is normal, but at the end of the game, they murk your character and you realize, oh shit, she was the locker ghost. That would have been cool. Or like the bitch that hung herself or whatever. Anything. Or the girl that like watches you study and then she like comes for you. Anything would have been cool. But no, they gave us this. Just feels like they gave up. I don't fucking understand. So it's only 4? I don't get it. Or it's a prequel and every character you play as Meep becomes one of the ghosts that haunts the school in the modern day. That would have been sick. That would have been sick as hell. 1, 2. Wait, what the fuck? Hey, 9, 6, 12, 3? Dude, am I fucking... What? Okay, what? That's 12 o'clock, isn't it? Like, yeah, here's my friend group, and oops, she's the toilet ghost. Oh no, she's the Chack ghost. This guy's the gym ghost. Uh-oh, I was the hanging ghost all along. Yes. 9, 6... Chalk. 9, 6... 12, 3... It doesn't make sense. What the fuck am I meant to put that into? Sorry, you're doing a puzzle. I'm over here still yapping. No, I get it. Because it really was a missed opportunity. Can't fucking play the piano. They really just took away everything that made the first game great, huh? That doesn't help me at all. Now he's about to kill himself. Fine, maybe there's clues in here. Oh, cool. That's what I needed. Oh, for a minute there, I thought I did something. There have been cases where directional locks are being used instead of button combination locks. There have been incidents of students breaking open these directional locks for fun, so please refrain from using them. When your lock breaks, please contact the faculty division or replace the lock with something more secure. What is the fucking... Moscow, London, Tokyo, New York. 9, 6. Is that 12 o'clock? That's 12 o'clock, right? Sorry, I got THC today, so I'm a little fucked up. Okay, so 9, 6, 12, 3. I really thought I was doing something with this. So I thought then that, you know, number 9, so up, then 6 is right, and then 12 is up, and then 3 was down. Right, I thought I was doing something with that, but that didn't work. Would you not consider this up? Yeah, same. Or would you consider this right as well because her knee is pointing? So if that's the case, it'd be right. Right, down, up, down? Okay, so what it is this is a directional lock. It's not... No, you're fine. I'll explain. So this is a directional lock. So it's only 4 things long, okay? And it has to go in directions. So that leads me into here, where a letter said this woman's wish was to go to Moscow, London, Tokyo, and New York in that order. So that led me to say Moscow is 9, London is 6, Tokyo is 12, and New York is 3. So I came out here, and I thought I was being smart, because there are numbers here, and there are directions to which things point. You know? What? I am waiting. Oh, okay. Let me slow down. Let me start from the beginning. Okay, so. This is a directional lock. It is only 4 directions. Okay, it's 4. You can only do 4 inputs. Okay? So that led me into here, where a note said that this teacher wishes to visit 4 specific places in this order. She wants to visit Moscow, then she wants to go to London, then she wants to go to Tokyo, and then she wants to go to New York. And the times on each clock are different. Moscow's is set to 9 o'clock. London's is set to 6 o'clock. Tokyo's is 12. And New York is 3 o'clock. So because those are 4 clocks, and this is only a 4-directional padlock, I came over here to look at this. And these have the numbers on it. And these yoga poses, you know, they go up, down, side to side. So that led me to believe that, okay, 9, 6, 12, 3. But that didn't work when I did it, so now I'm lost. Unless I'm reading this wrong. I'm looking. There you are. Let me eat some chocolonely while I wait. I'm hearing you out. What's the answer, Dad? Let me take a sip of water. Delicioso. That's actually pretty smart. Okay, let's do it. Up. Right. Right. We're both wrong. Right? Like I thought we were doing something. Like we were cooking. Dude, that is like such a solid fucking answer. Wait. Do you think... No, because it would... This might be me thinking too hard about it, but hold on. That's a right angle. That's straight. That's straight. That's a right angle, but in the other way. Dude, I don't know. I was like, well, maybe it's the position of the clock hands. And then I came out here. Well, that... She said Moscow, London, Tokyo, New York. I took the times of the clocks and matched them to the poses, then took the directions and put them in the order she said she wanted to visit them. That's what I'm fucking saying! Like, we are giving 110% of our fucking brain... Hold on. Let's have you read the notes. Here we are. Here's the note. I'm sincerely trying to carry out my duty as a teacher, but it's not as easy as I thought. Students these days lack guts. I'm always trying to give them sound advice, but most of them ignore me. Hey, what's good, brother? It's exhausting. Sometimes I dream of quitting school and traveling the world. I'm going to visit Moscow, London, and Tokyo, New York in that order. Yes, I should set my combination lock's password to Moscow, London, Tokyo, and New York, just like my dream. Yes, brother. Welcome, brother. He's currently experiencing ad hell. What else do you want? What do you fucking want? What the fuck? Wait, something's up with the TV. I can interact with the TV, but I don't have a remote. No, it's okay. Hold on. Let me take you to the remote. Maybe let me take you to this. Gaze. Gaze upon it and know that we have failed immensely. I just dropped a massive dump out of my Bunglestein, and it wasn't even related to this freaky ass game. That's funny as fuck. Did the OneNote say the TV in the science room was ghosts? It did. But now I guess I can interact with it if I find the remote. But what the fuck, though? Please take a step close to the poster, but still have the... Oh, shit. You are quite welcome. You are welcome. I'm about to hit this fucking pen again, I tell you what. That's what I'm saying, I'm fucking crazy! Okay. Okay, let me show you the locks. Let me show you the clocks. This is actually stupid. Okay, here's Moscow. Up, right, right, left. That's what I'm saying! Okay, 9. London. 6. Or would this be... What else would this be? Right, that's 6 o'clock, right? Okay, 9, 6. Fucking 12. This game is ass! Snooze the fucking ads! I'm so tired. Snooze those ads. I don't give a fuck. Fuck those ads. Okay. 9, 6, 12. 3. 3 o'clock. Yeah. So what the fuck else? Am I thinking too hard? I don't get it. 9 is up. 6 is right. 12 is also right. And 3 is left. I know. I don't get it. Up, right. Better search more clues, my cockhead. Yeah, I know. I was trying that to see if it worked. None of our combinations are working. Dude, there's literally nothing else to find. And I can't read Korean. I can't because Google Glass is on my iPhone. And I can't because I'm using fucking VTube Studio. Am I high? I know I hit the weed pen, but there's no fucking way. Okay. Okay, let me take you back to the poster. I wish Matt would fucking just kill me. Okay, here you go. I'm up on it, right there for you. The game pisses me the fuck off. It's not as fun as the first game. Got me fucking tired. The puzzles are irritating. So you go on the actual Google app, and then once you are in the Google app, you hit the little camera, and then you do the thing. That's so fair, Matt. I get it. Trust in that. I do that shit when Calypso's streaming sometimes too. Oh, hi, Cyrus. Big baby boy sitting in the side. Sitting in the side. I bet it says, please make sure that you stretch your glutes optimally so that you can't do the puzzle that the game wants you to do. Love you. I'm Korean. Oh, Cyrus, just a handsome little gink. We're turning the flashlight off, help. Okay, that didn't tell me shit. It said stretching exercises for a healthy body. Cool! Brazen, my fucking... Could it be the hands? Maybe... Are any of them doing that pose? They're not. Oh boy. The poster has numbers on it. Why would they want us to use the bodies if they have numbers on them? I'm not saying that to fucking spite you. I'm saying they're puzzle. It sucks, dude. Because it's not. That's not a. It's not a combination. It's a fucking directional padlock. What? I'm fine. I'm fine. I mean, maybe if I get the fuck. If I could figure out where the remote is, maybe this will tell me something. But the only info I have on the fucking remote is, does anyone know where the remote control for the science lab's TV is? When the teacher asked some students to move the first aid kit, I think they moved the box with the remote control inside too. I can't seem to find it, so let me know if someone else does. Also, does anyone know what to do with the spare machine parts at the spare room? I don't know, dude. I'm fucking losing it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I've had enough. I don't care enough. This puzzle is so unintuitive. Like, I know that my brain is smooth, but, like, I'm usually decent enough at puzzles. God, Matt, just kill me. Do not run? Ooh, why? Something happened if I run. I ran. It says left, down, up, right. What? No, it doesn't. Is it because her fucking leg is pointing that way? That doesn't make fucking sense at all if that's the case. I don't care. I don't care. Left, down, up. Oh, what a bunch of bullshit. They, the part of the, what part of the, wait, what? Her legs never go up. What part of the body do they feed? Dumb. Oh yeah, I'm furious. No, this game really just, it's just not good. I missed the first game so bad. If it's not the fucking head, then what part of the body do they want us to use? It's the most obvious part a person would think to use. It probably meant this, the fucking leggy, dude. That's probably what it was, because her leg was fat left, but... Yeah, I sure would love to see any visual input. That would have been sick. Her legs never go up. I know, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh, fuck! Dude, god damn it. Fuck you. You're not even scary. You're just annoying as hell. Got no chase music, you're a dick. Oh, god damn it. Yeah, no, I still don't get it. It's bullshit. I'm so tense and angry from that puzzle that dickhead scared me. That's embarrassing. You read the walkthrough and it still doesn't make sense? Oh, that's not good. I'm gonna go get a freaking drink while the ad's going. Like if the minute hands were all on 12 and the time's on the clocks, I have to watch ads for 2 more minutes. What the fuck? I'm sorry, dude. If you subscribed for 1 month, you wouldn't have to worry about ads. That's such a douchey thing. For $5.99, you could be ad-free. Even though that's a ridiculous price to sub to me, so... Could you go the fuck away, dude? That's fucking annoying. Hey, hot and cold. He's gonna see me, god damn it. Oh, it wasn't? Cool. Then why would it just seem like it? Why would it be so puzzle worthy? I have questions. So many questions. Literally, they meant the direction. No! I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Literally, they meant the direction that the numbers, the hour hand was pointing into the face. That's stupid. No! Sorry, I'm fine. I'm just. Oh my god, he's pissing me off. Oh, that's dumb as hell. It was to fuck with people like us. Because I find connections in everything. Photoshop the numbers off. That's so funny. Hey Matt, get your friends in on this stream so they can come berate me. It put it so close to the puzzle too, I'm actually losing my mind. Yeah, I know! It's practically up its ass. Remember when game design was a skill that took years to master? Yeah, now they crank out shit like this. The first game was a fucking masterpiece, but that's because it was a remaster of a game that came out in 2001. That's why that game was amazing. Now they just let fucking anybody make games. Like me, for example. Could he just leave? That'd be so lit. Daddy! Look, I'm really tired of game design being so sloppy these days in general. Oh, yeah. Remember when people had passion? Oh, fuck off. Dear science teacher, I am the biology teacher, Lee Do-hyung. You are probably aware of the creepy rumors related to the hallway that connects the new building to the old building these days. There are also rumors about how a student went through the hallway but never came back. I have always thought the rumors were the pranks of students with big imaginations, until just yesterday, that is. I heard a whisper while passing by the connecting hallway late at night. The whisper got closer and closer. I ran as fast as I could. Just as the whisper came right up against my back, I escaped the hallway. It looks like the rumors were true. We should restrict the students from entering at night. It would be good for us to take out the switchboard parts until it is resolved. I will keep it in the biology room and ask that you keep one in the science lab. The amount of times I watch a person play a game in a video or a stream and they go to the wrong place or do the wrong thing because the lighting or the colors or what have you is too in your face, so the person was like, obviously this is guiding me. It's a dead fucking end. Yeah. Yup. Yep. Wait, this was open last time. Whatever. Oh my god, fuck off. I'm doing shit. There's nothing in here? Do you want me to kiss a gun? Hi, Virus. Gaboon. Cool. Goddamn useless. I'm not a pro game designer, but we have something similar in visual arts. It's called composition and movement. Hey, Virus. Please don't. Daddy, please. I'm asking for so goddamn little. Get out so I could do my job. And much like a rabbit in the dead of winter, I do not notice the snare. Completely unaware of danger as I step into the rope and it propels me into the air. And then I become food for a man and his child in a cabin just beyond the forest. Never again will I see my rabbit family. Never again will I see my mother and her cute cotton-tailed face. I will only become as food to empower the one that kills me. Oh, to be a rabbit in the dead of winter. Are we good? Anyway, rant over. No, I get you. Like a dear rabbit hungry for a piece of spring lettuce, I sneak into the farmer's garden for a sweet treat, making myself invulnerable to danger. Yes. So good. The wolf one is just too good. I can't beat that. Calculator. Thank you. I do be trying my best out here. Hello? Oh! Yay! Oh, this isn't the ghost hallway. I got really excited. Piss. I get into all the places I should not be in, and suddenly I'm surrounded by enemies. Yes. Yes. Christ, mother, save that shit for Oprah. Oh, it's the music room. I remember. I remember what to will. You can't even open drawers or shit anymore. It's also whack. Nothing even fucking in here. Why would you let me come in here? It means nothing! There used to be sweet treats in here when I was playing as my boy Lee Min. To believe in Eorzea is to believe in nothing. God, what is the fucking point of this game? Nothing matters. Sorry, I'm fine. Okay, go piss, girl. Why even let me come in this one? What's so special about this place? Nothing? Nothing at all, huh? Game. I'm gonna commit. Why am I even doing this? Low-key getting a little frustrated. Oh, you are fucking kidding me with that. What was the point? Nothing? Oh, man. Oh. Oh. Did it just get fucking louder? I'm so fucking infuriated with this game right now. Dude, I went down that entire long stretch of hallway and there wasn't goddamn anything. Welcome back, by the way. I'm furious. What? God, you are fucking my ass raw right now. Oh god, dude. Can I not just, like, punch him in his dick? Sorry, I'm, like, so sassy. Oh. Fucker. Eh. Shut up. Nothing even happens. It's all just sound effects and dumb shit. I'm the most weary that I've ever been. I'm about to just not even finish this game and then just play the first game. Hey, thanks so much for the follow, Orion. Hope you're doing good. And like turned out to be one of the devs, and they're like cursing my name and my lineage. Yeah, I'm sorry. For some reason, my alerts aren't working right. That would have been really funny, though. It would have got me, too. Because I am locked in. Where is he? Oh my god, I need a key. Fuck's sake. Brings back memories of crouching everywhere in the first game. Yeah. I just don't know where to go then. Like, I have to go to the biology room and the science room to get a key. Could you shut up? I'm assuming the biology room... No, I know where the biology room is. I guess the science room might be on the first floor. Where is he? I dare you to come out here, dude. I got a camera. Not afraid to use it. Come on, dude. What are you talking about? This game is frustrating. I'm fine, though. Brings back memories of fishing with Paw. Okay, biology room. Fuck. I still don't have a key, though. Hmm. No, where's the map? Here we are. Okay, the science room is locked, so I can't get the thing there. Biology room. It's on the 4th floor. That's back the way I came, right? I know he's back there, so if he spawns in here, I'm gonna be pissed. He shouldn't be allowed to do that. So, everybody having fun? Everybody having a good time? Wait, what? Okay. Okay, I'm unsure how to get to the biology room. Little confused. But we're sure gonna go for it. Oh, fuck. Let's see if this works. Fuck yeah. Fuck that guy. So sorry that you have to watch me running back and forth like a chicken. I'm trying to figure it out. My brain don't work so good. Come here. I gotta get you again. Come here. Oh, I think I figured it out. I did fatal frame him, I told you. Yeah, I'm not fucking around anymore. I'm mad. So anyway, I started blasting. No! That's where the biology room is. So where the fuck's the key? Find the missing switch. Yeah, I would love to. Thing is, this game is set up like an ass. No, I'm fine, dude. Oh, I'm about to be. Oh, I'm so angry. I just didn't see the key. That one's on Daddy. Why are these doors locked again anyway? Lee Hyun-min had all this shit open. Facility Management Department Biology Teacher Kim Ji-woo. Most of the payphones will be unavailable to the inspection. However, please be informed that the payphones of the 4th floor hall can still be used. You got it. I found a payphone card. You mentioned that you lost yours during our last class. It didn't have a name on it, but I put it in your desk drawer anyway. Thank God. Fuck yeah. Phone call. Let me make a phone call to a god that doesn't listen. Oh boy. Why the side music? What are you doing? What's afoot right now? Oh, do you remember the killing room with the baby? I know you do. That's the thing too, the first game had like really cool bosses and shit that you could fight. There has been nothing in this game. There is fuck all in here. Yejun loved Hyun-ah. He liked her so much that he did everything she asked. One day, Yejun went to get Hyun-ah her favorite drink to please her, but the vending machine was broken and it gave him a different drink. He took it to Hyun-ah anyway, and Hyun-ah told him to stop. Yejun thought he was turned down because of the broken vending machine. It was too painful for him to accept the fact that she just didn't like him. Yejun decided to take it out on the machine. He came back to school late at night and kicked the vending machine. He kicked and kicked, but his anger still had him. The tragedy is that the machine fell over and crushed him. Unfortunately, it was school holiday. Yejun lay there crushed under the machine for days until he died. Cool. You remember the pottery baby and the rooftop pool mermaid? Yeah, like there was so much cool shit. This game ain't got none of that. Where's the sauce? That's what I want to know. Where the fuck is the sauce? Oh, wait. Does this possibly have a number on it I can use? I doubt any of this means anything. Only thing I can do is try. Oh, that wouldn't work. Shit. Okay. guess I have to call somebody with a telephone. Thank you. Thanks? I guess? Thank you? What the fuck? How kind of her to hold the phone to my stupid head. Oh, for fuck you! Oh my god, I can't even leave because he's in the fucking way. Now I gotta hide. Fuck's sake. Yeah, whatever, just take him. Just take him. I don't give a fuck about that guy. Gods. Yeah. Don't get exercised. Just take it for a ride. It's cool. If you come in here, I'm gonna be cross. Don't do that. Don't do it. Dude, I'm gonna be so cross. Oh boy. Oh, fuck. Cool. Okay. Nothing else? Oh, found it. Do you ever just open up a can of beer because you just can't take it anymore? I'm drinking one of those peach Millers or whatever. So Matt will fucking finally love me as his brother. God, do they suck though. Boy, if you don't leave, you're gonna face my wrath. God, fuck this guy. Fuck him. Oh, he's down here for sure. Oh God, fuck off! Oh hey, Sujin.
빨리 와! 장성태!
Where the fuck did she go? Sujin, thanks, crazy view, because they're fucking crazy. Ah! Oh God damn it! I'm out of cameras. Ha! Sujin, why would you pull me in here and then leave me? Sujin! You whore! Oh my God! Ha! Ha! Ah! Ah! Oh yeah, big bullshit. Like, hurry, not Lee Ji-min. And I'm just gonna leave you. He just wanted a kiss.
빨리 와! 장성태!
Yeah, like, where did she go? Because he's just on my dick. Damn you! This is a boss battle? Oh, how they have fallen. Oh, how they have fallen.
아, 씨. 와, 저 새끼 대체 뭐야? 왜 우리를 죽자고 쫓아와? 아, 미친 거 아니야?
My leg hurts, Queen.
뭐야? 너 다쳤냐?
Yeah, Sujin, what the fuck?
괜찮아, 이 정도는.
괜찮긴 개뿔. 넌 맨날 그러더라. 다쳐도 괜찮다면서 놔두기만 해.
Cool.
냅두면 더 심해진다는 거 몰라? 넌 예전부터 그랬어. 고민이 있어도 말을 안 하잖아. 마음의 상처도 상처고 마음의 병도 병이야. 숨기고만 있으면 썩기만 해. 야, 우리 강서연에 대해 같이 알아보기로 했잖아. 그럼 내 말에 협조 좀 해.
Where did Kang So-yeon come into this?
알았어.
I thought we were here for Sung-ah.
난 김지연 선생님이 자주 가던 어학실에 다녀올 거야. 넌 다쳤으니까 여기 있어. 그 꼬라지로 나갔다간 아까 경찰한테 뒤지게 딱 좋겠네.
No, when did the story change?
진짜 나가게? 바깥은 위험해.
괜찮아. 내가 넌 줄 아냐? 넌 내가 돌아올 때까지 여기서 얌전히 기다려.
There's no fucking way I missed anything for the story, because I've been doing. God fucking piss balls. God.
야, 우리 강서연에 대해 같이 알아보기로 했잖아. 그럼 내 말에 협조 좀 해.
We didn't come here for
바깥은
Kang Soyeon.
괜찮아. 내가 넌 줄 아냐? 넌 내가 돌아올
We
때까지
literally just
여기서
saw this. You
얌전히
did not
기다려.
have to flashback me.
수진이가 얌전히 기다리라고 했는데.
That's what I'm saying. Good boy.
수진이는 지금 뭐 하고 있을까?
Good boy. Wait, am I Suyin right now? I'm tiny bum leg Tim. Go to the language room. Is language lab the language room? How the fuck do I get there? I don't know. They really love their labs over there. Okay, let's go this way then. Yeah, I think I'm Sujin. I can't though. God fucking. Oh, Daddy. Do you not feel for me? No! What the fuck? He had the remote, though! Well, shit fuck. Okay, so how does Big Daddy get to the damn language room? You're about to see a side of Dad you don't want to see. So sorry that you have to witness me floundering like this. What the fuck do you mean? There's no way else to get to where you want me to go. And I can't use the remote on the television now because he had it. And you took it from me. So what the good God shit? You might witness Daddy put his head into meat grinder, kids. Am I just fucking crazy? You remember when games were fun? I'm sorry. The top review for this game makes sense now. It was just like frustrating in all caps. Let me rub my eyes. Let me rub my eyes because I'm fucking losing my mind. Okay, rub, 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 rub. Okay. Okay. All right. Like I know y'all are doing stuff, but like you get it, right? You get that why I'm melting? You get it. At least there's no fucking demon chasing me right now. Because now the fucking remote is gone. So how do I get it here? Because I guarantee you that's where the other switchboard piece is. Daddy's gonna commit. Do not run, I'm not listening to you. Wait, are you saying now I have to collect everything I already had as the guy as Sujin? Oh, that sucks. Hey, could you shut the fuck up? Thanks. So what you working on, Lippo? Is it gaze? Because that'd be pretty phenomenal. Ooh. I would like to see it when it's finished. Literally go fuck yourself. Thanks. I don't care anymore. I bet it sounds good now that it's tuned. Sick. I would like to gaze upon it with mine eyes. Whenever you're confident, of course. Yeah. Daddy? I love experiencing sounds and not seeing any demons. Do my best to find this language room. No one's trying as hard as I am. Oh wait, I think I did it. Daddy did it. Let's go, boys. Oh, come on! God damn it! Wow, I really thought... God... this would take me there. I'm so angry. Why is this still fucking locked? Oh! I'm fine. Do you ever just? What do you want from me then? I have given you everything that I have. Hmm. This is such an empty fucking game. Where's the sauce? Where's the lamb sauce? The lamb sauce. I would like to know. Oh, it should just be a mannequin that sits there and looks pretty. I don't even know why I'm opening them. There's nothing. There was incentive in the old game. I don't mean to keep complaining. Oh, God. Fuck this. Feel free to snooze the ad if you want. I'm not even worried about it. You're gonna take it. I'm so sorry. Oh, fuck. Year 1 classroom. What the fuck was that? Locker key to first year. Classroom 7. How was I ever to know that that was there? Wait. I'm in first year room 7. What the fuck? Is one of these locked? Myung-hee's parents were killed in a hit-and-run accident. She was 22 years old and lived on to take care of her precious younger siblings. Even though she had to handle multiple part-time jobs and was getting barely any sleep, Myung-hee was okay. If her younger siblings could grow up healthy, the sacrifice was worth it. Then, when it was her birthday, she didn't even realize because she was so busy with all her jobs. She couldn't hold back the tears when her younger siblings gave her a birthday gift. Her siblings saved what little allowance they got and bought her cosmetics and clothes. Her younger siblings felt bad about how Myung-hee gave up so much that she could save all the money she could at such a young age. Myung-hee happily headed outside after wearing the clothes and makeup her siblings got her. Sadly, she returned to her siblings as a cold corpse, and her mouth had been ripped from ear to ear. They say that the one who did that to Myung-hee has always wore a mask to cover her face after her plastic surgery was botched. This woman always carried a knife in her bag, ready to cut any girl who incurred her wrath by being younger and prettier than she was. Fucking useless. That didn't help me progress. Perfect sound. Cool. Anybody want to turn me into fish paste? That'd be fun. Oh boy. I think it'd be mighty fun if somebody just turned me into paste. Oh. I legitimately do not know how to get to the language room. So all those fucking rooms are locked. Oh. Daddy. Your little boy doesn't understand, Daddy. Perhaps if he was a bit more loved at birth, he'd understand these things. Oh, yeah, it's so good, dude. The rich boy Chad laugh is so funny. No, I get you. I completely understand. What are you talking? I'm fine. Literally does fuck all for me. The opinion boxes are useless to me. I'm fine. I'm not angry, but I am just a little. I might need you to do me a solid. I might need you to help me out. Ugh. Daddy. So it wants me to go to the language room. But as you can see based on the map, I cannot go to that area, and I can't go, like, basically everywhere to get to the language room, which is up in that northern area, is locked. And the place where I can get the last switch to the door that would let me go this way is locked in the science room. And I don't know where the fuck to get the key. And okay, how do I convey this to you? How do I convey this? How do I convey this right now? There's no cursor anyway, so even if I wanted to, I couldn't. Let me zoom in. Okay, as you can see, language lab that it wants me to go to. Right there. Okay? Right there. But this door, this little thing right here, like next to the steps, locked. Because I don't have the other switch key. This area over here, door is broken. Can't go that way. Yes, the horizontal one. And the one that, the last switch that will let me go through this door, that one right there, is in the science room. But the science room door is locked, and I don't know where the fuck to find the key. Because I've had no clues or hints. And it's frankly putting me in hell. Thank you, Mr. Fingers. Thank you all for sitting here and watching me flounder through this. It's probably something really simple, but it's just like, It's aggravating. Like, give me clues, Daddy. I ask for so little. There wasn't any. I literally just took control of Eugene. It told me to go to the language room, and every single door is locked. The last thing I did as Juk, whatever the hell his name is, was I found the first switch key that was in the biology room. Yeah, I found the one in the biology. I need to find out how to get into the science door to get that one. But it's just literally no help because all it wants me to do is go to the damn language room. Yes. Yes, I do. If he comes in here right now, I'm gonna give him 20 cc's of camera flash to the eyeballs. Oh my fuck. There's a science TV remote in biology storage. Get it. Use it on the TV door in science room and unlock science storage. That's so... But see, I found that remote is John Sook or whatever the guy's name is. But it didn't give it to me when I switched to her. That's such assetry. Okay, fine. Where the fuck's the biology room? 4th floor, fine. Thank you for your assistance, Fingers. I just want you to know this text is copy-pasted verbatim from the walkthrough. Have fun playing Rush Hour with those pieces in the switchboard cabinet. Only God can help you with that one. Fucking cool, dude! Oh, Odin preserve me. My love. Oh yeah, because he's gonna be on my dick hole. Thank you, Skink. This game feels like a fucking chore. Oh, right, remote. Excuse me. Who the fuck are you? Okay. Thanks. I enjoyed looking at you, I guess. Cool. I don't give a shit. Where's the fucking... That was so frustrating. You gonna look at me? Are you gonna do the thing that the game says you do? You're clearly on an animation cell, so do it. Weak. Yeah, I just wanted to be scared. This game's not scary. It's just fucking puzzles and notebooks. And occasionally women. I get it. I wanted to be scared by a fucking ghoul. I did, yeah. What a great time that would have been, huh? But no, I'm almost 3 hours into this, and all I did was piss blood. That wasn't even hard. Ah, fuck, stop. What? Well, like... Yeah. Cool. You're not gonna get me, bitch! Oh, the game's crashing. Ugh. Good game. Thanks, bitch. Bye. Yeah, fuck you then. Huh? Hi. As I was saying, big pot. It's getting too very. I remember. Except now it looks like there's fuck all to do here. Why did you have me open this room with a key card when there is nothing to do with it? What the fuck is going on? Um...
이상하단 말이야.
Oh, fucking adult?
테이프를 누가 만진 거지?
Who's not possessed?
어떤 놈이 오늘 학교를 감히? 누구야? 거기!
Yeah, Japanese and like Asian schools just have all that shit there because they really love the classical arts and stuff, dude. They said that the password for the lock on the teacher's lounge was changed again. They're changed so often because students figure the passwords out and go in there without permission. Even so, the passwords change too often, so that I won't forget again. I should make a record to help me memorize it in the language room. If only America had values! You're right. You are so right. For legal purposes, that's a joke. And then a red dot shows up with my wallet, I'm shot immediately. Yeah, they just take you out. Take the shot! Cool. Are we done? What the fuck? God, this game fucking sucks. I'm fucking losing my mind, dude. You love how crazy I look? Yeah, dude. I feel fucking crazy. What's the point of that? What was the point of any of that? Oh, I didn't do B9, excuse me. Don't get it. You could not pay me to ever play this fucking game again. 8 tracks, 1 to 8 are all. Yeah, it's so fucking funny, right? A cassette tape that Yu Young Oh dropped? What the fuck? Dude, whatever. Hello? Your recreation for the sound just now was so funny. Just so mad. The game froze. Hey. Oh no. Not bathroom horrors. Why are you playing this music? This is some, like, really silly bathroom music. Can I not... Can I not use this? Return to the broadcast. Motherfucker, balls. Balls! There's a cassette player right there.
Door is locked, it won't open. Cool. History room. I like history. History is fun. Something is missing.
He's on the other side of that door, chilling. Nothing? Kill myself, I guess. The poop room. They won't let me go on the roof because they know my power level is too great. All right. Let's go through the funny room again. I wonder what the creature looked like. She was probably like 1,000 arms. Why did this hallway have to be so many twists and turns? Who built that like this? God, the architecture is just bad. Daddy, just go away. Daddy, just leave. Daddy, just go away. Where the fuck was the broadcast room? I don't remember where it is, Daddy. Sorry, the sun's getting real low on me for this game today. Which one is the robe? Second floor, say less. Fuck you! We're done. I can't do it. Not right now. Not anymore. Not today. Oh god, thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming. It was something. We will beat this game. We will beat this game. It's gonna take a chunk of me, and I'll be a different person at the end of it, but we're gonna do it. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Hope it was at least somewhat interesting to watch. Alright, y'all have a great night, and I'll message you here in a minute, Clippo. Yes, goodbye.